Look at what we found on our doorstep. It's the AJAX Camera. What's special about it, right? This is the first generation of cameras from AJAX, and here we have the TurretCam. So it's a 4K camera with a 2.8mm lens. You can choose from 3 different form factors. So this one, the Turret, but you also have a mini dome and a bullet camera. They are all customizable with the following feature. So either black or white. You have 2 lenses side for the viewing angle, so 2.8mm or 4mm, depending on if you want a wide angle or a narrow angle. And you can choose a resolution of 4K or 5 megapixels. All cameras are NDAA compliant. You have true WDR, IR illumination, a digital microphone, a micro SD card slot up 256 gigabytes, H.264, H.265 video compression. All of this packed in this camera. What's special about it? Honestly, multiple things. So let's start with the AJAX application, because this is how all their video surveillance is tied up. AJAX made it so there's no way to access your videos from the outside. You need the AJAX application. Even inside the app, privacy settings lets you decide you can access the camera and download the footage. So whether you store the archive on a memory card or the NVR, it can only be read in your AJAX account. And if that wasn't enough, well, the AJAX camera don't have a default password. They don't have a password at all. To access them, you enroll them by scanning the QR code on the device, just like any AJAX products. So no risk of losing or forgetting your password. So before adding the camera to your AJAX application, you need an infrastructure, and it starts with having a PoE switch, having an NVR or not, because you can have a micro SD card inside your camera to make it standalone. So this way you're able to record everything on your camera. And with this, well, now it's the connections. So here we have the gray cable that is in the Ethernet port. We have the blue one that is connected to the NVR, and we have the black one that is giving power to the camera that we have right here. So this is the basic infrastructure to have your system set up. Now, how to add an AJAX camera to your AJAX system application? Guys, it's AJAX. It's user-friendly. You've done it a million times with every AJAX devices. All you need to do is open up your application, grab your device, this camera, and scan the QR code that is underneath the camera. So you click on Add Device inside the application, your camera opens, you put it in front of the QR code, and now you have a page of Add Device that is pumped up. You enter the name of your device. So this way we'll do like and subscribe. See what I did there? So like and subscribe, and afterwards you click on Add Device. Now the device, you see a live view of the camera, you see my beautiful face right here, and all you need to do is confirm. And you saw how quick it was to enroll the camera on the AJAX application. It took a matter of seconds, again, just scanning the QR code, and there you go, you confirm. And now another page is pumped up, it's connect to an NVR. So you have the choice of connecting it to an NVR right now, or if you look at the bottom, you have add as standalone. Because remember, you have a micro SD card inside your camera, so you don't actually need the NVR. And also this camera have analytics on the edge, so all the AI is already on the camera, hence why you don't necessarily need an NVR for it to work. But just to show you how to enroll it on the NVR, we will click it on Add as Standalone. Now here you have like and subscribe added to your AJAX application. So if I click on it, already my live view, you can see the timeline that we'll discuss later on, but already the analytics of a person that you see. I'm wondering who that is. And if you go back, you see NVR on the screen, you click on cameras underneath, and here you add the camera. And you can see that like and subscribe is already on my screen. So guys, I challenge you to find a better way to enroll a camera inside your NVR. So if you can do it faster than what, my 5 seconds that I did to do it, well, leave a comment below, let us know what's your trick. I'd like to know it and I'd like to test that product. So now, I click on the camera that is available for my NVR. I still see my face because it is connected. I confirm, and there you have it. The NVR is talking to the camera. It's registered, and now I can access my camera from my NVR right away. Pretty fast, right? Let's see how now all the setups for the camera and how to make it work. Now that you have your camera inside the AJAX application, you click on it, and now we'll go through all the settings. So once you click on it, you access the screen of the camera, but what we want is the settings, so you go on the top right of your screen and click on the cogwheel. And we'll go through all the settings for you to understand exactly what's happening inside your camera. So first up would be here, you have the connection saying it's online. So this, if you click on it, it gives you the information about your IP address, subnet mask, so all the information about the connection and network of your camera. If you click on the connection to NVR, well, it's the same thing, but on the NVR side. Now, below that, we have the storage location. Now we have the memory card, micro SD card that is inside the camera, and also the hard drive from the NVR. So we see how we're recording the information that is filmed from the camera. And this is something we can change in the settings. I'll show you later. Now, underneath all of this, you have the actual settings of the camera. That means that if I change the resolution, if I change the FPS, if I remove my memory card, everything will be written here. So now we can understand that my camera, this is the resolution I'm using. I have a 20 FPS frame rate. So it gives you a first look. So when you're wondering what are my setups, you open this page, everything is written there. But now we want to know more about the detections, how to change the image and all of this. So you go back on the top of this page and click on the cogwheel on the top right. Now we access the name of the camera. If you want to change the name, this is where you would do it. And also the room. So if you want to change where you place this camera, you can also access it from this specific page. Now underneath that, we have arm in night mode, because when you're using, for example, a space control or a keypad, you can select night mode. This way it will arm specific devices that you enable the arm in night mode. So instead of just arming, disarming on a schedule, this is a practical way to arm your system. And it does the same thing with the camera. Now in recording preferences, that's what I showed you earlier. So it was saying that it was recording on the micro SD card and on the hard drive. But what can you change here? So if I click on it, I decide if I want to change the memory card or the hard drive. I click on the memory card, and it tells me the recording mode and how I want to enable the recording. So enable recording, do I want it always recording what it's seeing or when armed? And when I say always, it means always recording on detection or scenarios. So it's kind of inverted here. So I want it to always record when it sees someone, let's say a human, a vehicle, and this is how it would work. But when armed, it means, for example, if it's armed during night mode, well, this is when it would record. If I wanted to do a continuous recording, I go inside recording mode, click on here, and here I choose if I never wanted to record for some reason, or record continuously, or again, on detection or different scenarios. And this is applicable also to the NVR, so you can kind of use them as different storage. If you want the camera to record at a certain specific reason, so on detection, and the NVR on continuous because you have more space on the NVR, you have maybe 1 terabyte in here, here you only have 256 gigabyte, so this one can be on detection, and this one can be a continuous recording to make sure you never lose any kind of action that is happening in front of your camera. If I go back to the settings of the camera, now we enter the detection. Detection, well, you have two types of detection. So first off, we can enable the motion detector or not. So this is pixel based. If we click on the motion detection settings, here you have the screen with all the pixels. So you can draw on it, change the zone, making sure you recreate the exact zone where you want to detect any kind of action. So when you click on the zone, you can click on an eraser below, and you can remove directly on the screen here. So I wanted to detect only the upper level of the camera, so I remove everything down below. I'll do it quickly, like so. And there I will have some detection on top and my corners because I'm not very good at drawing on my screen. Or you can add by clicking on the pencil and just add more recording pixel on your screen right here. I'm not gonna save this because it's not very pretty. And below you have your threshold. So sensitivity threshold. For this one, the more high you go, you will get more alerts. So it's not ideal. I recommend putting it at the middle, so this way you have less false alarm, but honestly it all depends on your application and where you put this camera. So it's better to try it out yourself. And you have area occupied by detectable objects. So this is part of the screen I just showed. So all the green dots you see on the screen, this is your area occupied. So the area occupied objects is the number of pixels that is covered on the screen. So 468 right now. So if it covers that area, it will detect the motion. Again, in this part, I would have liked AJAX to maybe add some kind of example on the screen to clearly understand what the area occupied means. We can make the connection that maybe 1024 is the whole screen, but it would have been nice to have some kind of reference on there. Maybe it will come in the future settings. Again, this is just their first version of video surveillance camera, and they do a lot of updates, always making the cameras and products better. So I believe this is something that will come in a future iteration of these. Now, if we go inside video stream, you have all the information. So when streaming from the camera, again, these cameras have a mainstream and a substream, and the default settings are H.265, 4K, 20 frame rate, and you can all change them by clicking on the arrows on the right of the settings. So if I click on my resolution here, well, I can go down below to 1024 by 576. But I like my image crisp and crystal clear, so I will leave it at 4K. And same thing with the substream. So here you have your default settings, but anything can be changed at all time. Below that, you have your image. So if you want to change any kind of image, again, it depends on your application when you install the camera. So if you want to change the brightness, color, saturation, sharpness, contrast, and again, this is not activated by default, but I recommend strongly to use it, is their wide dynamic range. So they're using a true WDR, and it's really practical. So when there's a lot of light, depending on your settings, but having it on by default, it's just good in general to cover this aspect of the camera. We're talking about the IR. Again, this is when during the night, so there's not enough light, you will have IR that lights up, giving you a nice image in black and white. Right now it's set to auto, but you can actually change that to a customized way. So if you click on auto, you go to custom, and then it will let you choose the IR intensity that you want for your camera. Again, if you install this camera, you know what you're doing. Think about the application, where it could be useful, and this is where you can change all those setups. Below, we have the set auto exposure based on the entire frame, so taking everything into consideration. And finally, noise reduction if you want it on or off, and the anti-flicker, so the power frequency, that is by default at 50 right here. Now, this is done, all the setups are done. I want to go back to the detection side because we did all the settings to see a perfect image, but let's talk about the analytics of this camera because honestly, that's one of the most interesting part. Yes, many camera has them, but the way AJAX did it is pretty nice. So let's go inside detection and object detection. So we talked about the motion, but what about the objects? So if you activate it, you can go inside the settings. Again, similar function, so you have a zone that you can either remove some parts of it or add some parts of it, and then you can choose what you want to detect. So below, you have the 3 different detection that AJAX have inside their camera, which are human detection, pet detection, and vehicle detection. All again use a sensitivity threshold that is by default at 5, again to minimize the false alarm. So if you put it at high, there's more chance it will detect some things that are not necessarily what you think they are. So if you put it at 10 for a human, well, from a long distance, maybe it will think it's a human, but it's not. So it's better to play with it and test them out. But by default, having it at 5, we tested it and it worked great. So no false alarm using a 5 threshold here. Again, you can activate and deactivate any kind of AI right there. And when we'll go in the camera in just a few seconds, we'll actually show you how it works, and it really is impressive. The way they built it inside the application with the timeline, yeah, I'm truly impressed. And last but not least is the audio feature that we have here. So this is a matter of just capturing the audio so you can use it on your playback when you go back in your calendar. So seeing the schedule, filming what you have, to have all the sound inside your storage, because yes, there is a digital microphone on your camera. And when you activate the audio, well, you can choose different audio codec right here. So this is up to you. And you have all the default settings. So if you need to update your firmware, if you want to check your connection, your memory card, if you need any kind of service or report a problem, and the user guide for your camera at the bottom of this page. But this is an overview of what settings you have inside the camera. So this way you're able to actually envision what you will need to do with your camera when you buy the AJAX Cam for your video surveillance system. But now we'll go inside the camera and we'll show you exactly how powerful this analytic and how nice and user-friendly they made it for you to use it. Honestly, inside this application, I find it so user-friendly, it's incredible. Let's start with our testing, because we tested this camera for a couple of weeks here. I installed it at my place. We tried in traffic to do the analytics of vehicles, on a pedestrian street to see more people walking, how it was working out. As I mentioned before, it's great. Again, choose your threshold accordingly to your application, but how to find the information. This is my favorite part about this camera. We have the page here. You click on the calendar, that is the second button on the bottom. You click on it, and here we have some recordings that are available with a dot underneath the date. So we're going to choose June 22nd, let's say at 2 p.m., 2:40 p.m., right? So 2:40 p.m. I apply, and right away on my screen, I have exact scene of that specific time. And what's incredible is the timeline underneath. So you have all the analytics, so vehicle, motion, person detection, and you can just scroll it and change to another detection. So I scroll it to 2:42. I see here there was a vehicle detected here. 2:42 and 30 seconds, there was a person detection here. And all of this is on my timeline. And look at this, I'm gonna flip it. My editor is gonna do a good job here, but you have also this view that is really nice to review when you're on your mobile phone, because you have the wide view, so it's easier to see all the details on your screen. And all of these features, so the motion, the car, the person detection, there's also pet detection, but there was no pet on my street that day at that specific time, are available when you go on the filter. You have this page that appears with all the different filters you can add to your timeline. That means if I want to only see vehicles, I would select only vehicles. If I want to see vehicles and human, I select both. And again, it's about security. You want to be able to pinpoint what happened at an exact time, fast and efficiently. That means that if I know there was someone in front of my door, I can just click on human, do the show selected, and it will appear on my timeline. I will have the exact time frame, and I'm able to search in seconds the information from my camera, so from the action that took place. And you have all the other things that we have here, so motion, pet, and also scenario execution, because this one is what we will show in another video. You can do a scenario execution with your video camera, using your hub and other sensors. So let's say I use a door protect. As soon as my door protect opens, well, I have a scenario execution on my timeline, and I can find it inside, again, my camera right there. Now, if we go back on our timeline, again, if you activated the digital microphone on your camera, you can enable it on the bottom left, clicking on the speaker. But the most important thing is, okay, I filtered out on my timeline, I have only human detection, and I want to record this specific thing. How can I do it? Well, again, bottom right, you have 3 dots in a circle, you click on here, and you have multiple options. You can do a snapshot, so a picture, you can choose the video quality. If there's a mistake in your detection, you can send the feedback directly to AJAX. They always want to improve their technology. But what we're focusing on is download. So you click on download, it opens up the timeline that you have, and from there you can select the start of the action. So let's say I start just when the human detection was here. I click on start here, and I push my timeline towards the end. I do end here, and I have the date of the recording with the time, included audio, and the date of the ending of the action. I request the file. This will send a request to the cloud. You will receive a notification, and you will download in MP4 the file on your mobile phone, or if you're using the desktop version of the analytics for your camera. All of this is possible thanks to AJAX Jetsparrow. It's the heart and brain of AJAX Video, handling video transmission, storage, and management, providing a smooth user experience. For example, when we navigated to the archive, it was seamless, and searching for footage was really efficient. And I believe this is just a preview of what AJAX has in store for us. I see it as their beginning. Again, we all know of video surveillance, but also of a future maybe VMS. So using Jetsparrow as a base, as we saw here, using this timeline, I feel it will really change the way we're using video management software. So being able to search so efficiently and have all the information on a screen like this, it's great to see, honestly. So having a new competitor in the video surveillance world, I'm pretty sure it's gonna push some people and some manufacturers to do either the same or improve their offering on the market right now. Now you are ready to install your AJAX camera. We always recommend using the original junction box from AJAX. Again, it makes your installation more professional. It covers all the cable and making sure there's no water or dust that comes inside. And they are available in black or white, either for your Bullet, your Turret, or even your mini dome camera. And everything else you need is inside the camera box. Use the screw design as a guide. And for those of you who requested an installation demo, so me installing this camera and exactly how it works, well, I'm sorry to disappoint, but I cannot do this right now. But if you subscribe to Pipl Systems channel, I'll make sure to do a live installation for you guys. So like, comment below, and we'll see each other on the next one. On Pipl Systems channel, we talk about professional security systems, like this camera. And we like to compare it with maybe DIY systems to show the 1,000 differences that you have between a professional and a DIY camera. In this example, we're talking about the DIY from Reolink, so their latest release, and where to find the micro SD card. So they made it really accessible by putting it underneath the camera. So you just remove this part and you have access to the SD card. So yes, it is accessible for you, but it is also accessible for someone else. And it is your storage. You want to secure your storage to make sure it don't end up in the hands of someone else. It's your personal life after all. So when we're looking at AJAX and where to find their SD card, well, find the timer, because this is a professional camera and it needs to secure the storage. So it's underneath multiple layers of security. So grab your tool and start unscrewing. All right, we removed the first layer, but now we have to remove this. And behind there is a little metal plate here that we need to remove too. So we keep unscrewing. All right, so I remove my plate and there you have your SD card. That means you need to dismantle the camera from an installation. You need to remove this bracket here. You need to remove this metal plate, and you have your storage. So again, it's about the small details that makes a professional video surveillance camera from a DIY one more secured and more good for your safety overall.